Motor Carrier Safety Series, DOT's 14-Hour Rule Explained, presented by Connell Insurance. As we review the scope of challenges the industry is facing with electronic logging devices, this particular ELD rule created some misunderstanding among some motor carriers and drivers, so we've decided to elaborate on it in more detail to provide clarification. This is not a 24-hour clock system. The 14-hour rule can be an operational challenge if not managed properly. Many drivers have initially thought of this 14-hour window as the daily limit, even though it is not based on a 24-hour clock. Instead, a driver is allowed a period of 14 consecutive hours in which to drive up to 11 hours after being off duty for 10 or more consecutive hours. This 14 consecutive hour driving window begins when a driver starts any kind of work for a motor carrier. Once the driver has reached the end of this 14 consecutive hour threshold period, they cannot drive again until they have been off duty for another 10 consecutive hours or the equivalent of at least 10 consecutive hours off duty. Driving is limited to this 14 consecutive hour period, even if a driver takes some off-duty time, such as a lunch break or a nap, during those 14 hours. Part of this legislation also included a mandatory 30-minute break. Drivers are required to take a mandatory 30-minute break if more than 8 consecutive hours have passed since the last off-duty or sleeper berth period of at least half an hour. A driver must take an off-duty break of at least 30 minutes before driving again. What many drivers and their motor carriers found was that the requirement is to be off-duty for at least 30 minutes, not 25, 26, 27, 28, or even 29 minutes. It has to be 30 minutes. Some drivers were simply taking too short of a break, which caused them to be put into violation. Another critical component of this rule is to make sure you're utilizing your personal conveyance and annotations in your ELD system. Your ELD system detects all moves, so a move from the back of the lot to the front to grab a bite to eat or a shower will trigger the start of your workday. If your vehicle exceeds 5 miles per hour, the driver is now automatically put in drive status, unless they are doing a yard move or personal conveyance. You must annotate that fact in the log and switch your duty status appropriately. As you may know, if a driver is relieved from all responsibility to perform work, they need only to travel short distance and are not laden with freight. The time spent traveling from home to the terminal and vice versa, or from en route lodgings to restaurants in their vicinity using a CMV, may be considered off-duty time. Hours of service violations can have a detrimental impact to your organization's CSA scores and insurance rating. It is imperative to offer training to new drivers and encourage drivers to ask questions prior to receiving violations. If you have any further questions regarding the DOT 14-hour rule, please reach out to your supervisor or Connell Insurance.